That Note with Parker Whirling.
Desmond Myers back in the building.
So actually,
pumped.
the first time in the building.
First time in the building,
Yeah.
but second time on That Note.
Yeah.
You know, I did some backtracking yesterday to see how far back we went when we did our last episode. This is 188, and the last one you came on was 99.
Right before 100.
Yeah, right before 100, which is kind of insane to think about. And then we did that on October 26th of 2021.
I was going to ask, was it 21 or 22?
21.
Jeez.
So it was more than 3 years ago.
Holy cow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it's absolutely crazy.
It got me thinking about all the things that we've like done since then.
Absolutely.
Like we've played multiple shows now on the same bill, which has been so fun. We've done writers groups together, and then you even helped collab on my song Gumball, playing guitar and backup vocals.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the podcast at that time, it was all on Zoom. So it's crazy to think that at that time, just had no idea that we would end up becoming close friends and collaborators as well. And it's just been a blessing to have you in my life, both musically and as a friend, and on the podcast for round 2.
Thanks, man. Well, yeah, I think when you say all that, I'm realizing I think you're the artist I've collaborated with the most in any capacity.
I think, yeah, man. I mean, other than maybe like producers I've worked with, just like another artist.
Exactly. Yeah. Like another artist with another universe.
Yeah. When you put it like that, that is kind of crazy. But it's a blessing, man. I'm a big fan. And I'm just pumped to be able to talk about your music and your musical journey with you here on the second round of the podcast. But before we get into that, why don't we talk about the album that you picked from my record collection to discuss, I don't know, how it relates to you and how Phoenix's Wolfgang Amadeus makes you feel.
Well, yeah, this album is like kind of a crazy, sort of a full circle thing for me, because I remember in high school, I didn't know a lot of cool music, to be honest. Like I was, I relied, and I guess maybe this is normal for people, but I relied a lot on my friends who had like just more access to like stuff on the internet than I did. And they would introduce me to cool stuff. I was into like, I kind of like, my nature, at least at that time, at least early on, was like very much stuck in the 70s, like 60s and 70s. So like just anything past like 1979, like I wasn't super like familiar with. And then I relied on like friends to introduce me to, like, they got me into hip hop really like heavily thanks to them. Like I would have never found that on my own, or like Bjork or like whatever. And
Bjork, man,
yeah,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, but I'm not cool enough to have found that like by myself. Like I needed friends, you know.
Yeah.
And so one of the bands that they would listen to was Phoenix, and I remember just, you know, being in the car, like it's like senior year of high school, or like maybe not even, maybe earlier, but like senior year of high school, like being in the car, it's like, you know, maybe a year or two after this record had already come out, and listening to like Listomania and stuff, and had no idea that they were French. Fast forward, literally like not that much longer, like 5-6 years later, I'm living in France. And like the context of like so many things about this record, like Philippe Zah, the producer on this record, like he's like a legend in France. Like he's a DJ on his own, like super huge influential DJ. They recorded at Motorbase. Like I know like so many like little facts about the status of this band, but then the fact that like I was listening to this like driving around in the country in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think like Phoenix in that way represents like a lot of, it's just like amazing how far music can reach, and like you can sort of catch up with yourself with music. Like you hear something and then the full context of it doesn't dawn on you until you grow and get more experience in life. And I think like this record perfectly encapsulates that, because it was like downloading some information that would make sense to me later.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like marinating in it for a bit before it really becomes apparent to you how influential it is.
Exactly. And I had no context. I don't think I knew they were French, like at all. Like, you know, I just didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Thomas, I don't feel like he has, I feel like when you hear him speak, he has a French accent, but like
Definitely.
when you hear him sing, he has such an interesting way
He's
of
just
phrasing.
got that yelpy indie rock voice that I wouldn't say is very different than the average American indie rock
No,
singer.
not at all. It's wild. But he's like from Versailles. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's funny you say that about the, marinating in those influences before you really realize what's going on. And I heard you told my mom, shout out to my mom, I'm sure she's watching this.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
by the way. Your mom is really cool.
she's cool
I
as
talked to
hell.
her the other night at your
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Great job at your show, by the way, man.
Thank you, dude. Thank you for wearing the merch.
Oh, hell yeah. I've got Parker's face. We were strangers last time I did this. Now I'm literally
I know.
wearing your face.
And we're also using your merch. I'm going to put it up here, actually, your candle. It's the Playing with Fire scent, which is what? Teakwood, leather, and clove. It honestly smells incredible. This is one of the coolest pieces of merch I've ever seen.
Thanks, man.
But anyway.
Good shout out to my wife.
Yes, yeah. Shout out to
made
the
it.
moms. Shout out to the wives.
Shout out to Meg. She made that.
But you told my mom that you asked her if we listened to a lot of Tom Petty growing up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's just so interesting is the same day at the show, before the show, my buddy who came texted me, and he sent me a song. He's like, dude, you need to cover this song. And it was Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that two people both said that about Tom Petty and like thinking of me in that way. And it just got me thinking like, damn, like, have I like been slowly, gradually influenced by Tom Petty my whole life? And just
Well,
never
I've always
about
thought you sounded like Tom. Like, oh, let me back up. I'm not saying you sound like Tom Petty, but you've always, and I gotta say, like, Tom Petty, I think is one of the best songwriters who ever lived. I think he's like, the guy just pours out great songs.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he just has like a way of like disseminating information that's just like so simple and so like, but so it's just good. It's undeniably amazing. And you have like, I think you're one of the strongest writers that like I've ever been around. Like, you're such a great writer. And I really mean that. Yeah. And I meant to say, like you said, like you're a fan, like I'm a huge fan too. Like there's a reason we've played shows together, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And the show that you played on Tuesday was the best I've ever seen you. The band was so dialed in.
Thank you. Yeah,
it
shout
sounded
out
great.
to the band.
But yeah, like you've always had like I feel like you have that like knack for saying something that's very relatable, and it's very like conversational in your lyrics, and you know what to say on a chorus that makes it a chorus, like as far in terms of word. And I'm just so admirative of that. Like that's why I would love to collab sometime, because I would love to hear your process when you're writing. How it kind of goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to make that happen. And I appreciate you saying all that. I just wanted you on the podcast to get it on writing so that everybody knows what you think about my music. The great Desmond Myers. No, but for real, that is very sweet. I appreciate that. And I was blushing when my mom told me that you said that. And that gets me thinking, like, what do you think are some artists or some lyricists that you really like to look towards when you're writing your own songs?
Oh, I mean, I think Tom Petty is definitely one. I think Bruce Springsteen is a really, really big one. I think I'm always kind of going for, weirdly, like, I think I am always kind of going for Bruce Springsteen. Like, the feeling that you get when you hear Dancing in the Dark or like Born to Run, which I know are like his two like biggest songs, but they're just so like, everybody has that experience of like, it's Friday night, we're in this small town, it's just you and me, baby, let's escape, it's you and me against the world. Everybody, you know, whether or not you come from a background that's really like that, everybody, I think that's just like one of the most like intense, it's a perfect pop song mix because it's like it's telling a story. It's got like an element of maybe some slight tragedy, but we're not focusing on that. And then there's like a desire for like liberation and freedom. And like nobody does that better than Bruce. And I think like ultimately like the music I write is escapist in like a lot of ways, you know, or at least try to be. And I think like he does that in such an authentic and like in like there's so much meat to chew on in like the subtle storytelling he does in his lyrics. So yeah, I'd say Bruce. I'm sure if I think hard enough, like other people will, more current people also will come to me. But yeah, that's a guy definitely.
No, for sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. And a huge someone I'm a huge fan of their lyrics is Kevin Parker from Tame Impala.
Oh, interesting. I don't think about him for the lyrics.
Nobody does, or not nobody, at least not that I've come across. And I feel like, especially on the Slow Rush, like the latest Tame Impala record.
Yeah.
The lyrics are amazing, and he has that capability to put the right word at the right moment. Like, I don't know if you've listened to that song, It Might Be Time, on the Slow Rush.
It's been so long
anyway,
since I listened to that album.
Yeah, like the lyrics on the Slow Rush and Currents and everything. Like, I mean, there's a reason like The Less I Know the Better is such a hit. Like the words, the rhymes of the words, the way the rhymes fall in the rhythm. It's like a perfect song. So I think Kevin Parker is also someone I'm a huge fan of his lyrics.
Dude, we're due for another Tame Impala album.
It's Tame time.
It's Tame time. I think he posted an Instagram not that long ago of him in the studio and just teasing that there would be something. And I just feel like the world needs it. Like, I haven't listened to Tame Impala a whole lot in recent years, to be honest. I was such a huge Tame fan when I was like late in high school, early after high school. So like 2015, 2016, they were like my favorite band and I couldn't stop listening to them. Loved Currents. But then once Slow Rush came out, I think maybe my taste had changed a little bit and it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. But it's been so long. It's been like 5 years since Slow Rush came out. And I feel like the world is just ready for another Tame Impala album. And it seems like he's kind of ready. I really enjoyed his collab with Justice. Like, speaking of French bands.
Oh my God. The best.
Casey, who you just met, my girlfriend, shout out. She's a huge Justice fan. And went to go see them.
She's officially the coolest person.
She is, yeah. And she saw them at the Eastern. And loved it. Said it was like one of the best shows she's ever seen.
I was going to go to that show and I was like, these tickets are really expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of regret not going.
I know, dude. I don't even really know them. I mean, I know them a lot more now, but at the time.
Did you go to the Eastern show?
No, I wish. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about going, to be honest, but had I known how much of an experience it would be.
When people ask me what the best live show I've ever seen is, I usually say Justice.
So you have seen them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where did you see them? In France?
I feel like I don't mean for this to sound like a brag.
No, please.
But we were at, I think it's called Beauregard Festival in France.
Uh-huh.
And we were like on the same stage before them.
Whoa.
With this band, Her. And we played, it sounds like really like a douche.
No,
brag.
dude, please.
But it was like us, and then it was a French rapper named Booba, who's like huge in France.
Okay.
And then it was Justice at like midnight.
Wow.
And so it was like a huge festival. And it was like raining. It like got delayed a lot. They had like all the like, you know, like the aluminum foil things on their synths so they wouldn't get wet. And we got to like hang out at front of house and watch the show.
Whoa.
And got to like get like a little peek behind. Oh, and we met them. We got to hang out with them too.
Whoa.
And sorry, this is like
this
is like the coolest story. I feel like I'm bragging. I'm so sorry.
No. Oh my God. Tell it all.
But like the reason it's one of the best shows I've ever seen, because I think it's maybe weird to think like a DJ is the best show you've ever seen. But we got a little peek behind the scenes, and like so much is live with what they're doing. And especially the light show. The light guy has nothing pre-mapped. There's no Ableton. There's nothing clocked. The light guy is just like, has like a beer or whatever. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy, so I don't know. I don't want to say if he drinks or whatever.
Sure.
But like, he's just chilling, and it's all like instinctual in the moment. It changes every show. At least this was like the Woman Worldwide. So this is like after Woman, when they were kind of remixing their old
Okay.
Which like Woman Worldwide, I think is the best live album fucking ever. The Justice Woman Worldwide, it's so sick.
Okay, I need to listen to it.
Oh, dude, cocaine in your veins. Like it's if you need like to do an extra deadlift at the gym.
Okay.
Listen to. Sorry, I swear.
Yes, you can. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
I hope that doesn't cause you like
No,
grief
no,
in
no,
the edit.
no. It's not at
bleep
all.
me out or whatever.
Literally.
No, but yeah, if you need to do like an extra deadlift at the gym, like I can't recommend any record better than Woman Worldwide.
Okay.
It's very, very heavy and like, but also like grooves really hard. It's Justice is like, that's the best show I've ever seen. Nothing stopped it. So
And
far.
you got to meet them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got to talk to Xavier. I didn't
Which
really
one
get to talk to
is that
Gaspar.
one?
Xavier's the guy who
Big hair or thin?
the smaller, the skinnier guy with
Okay.
his hair down. Gaspard was the guy with the curly hair, you know, and
Yeah.
he was like taking care of his kid or some super chill like he was dadding it out. And but yeah, Xavier was like super. Could not have been cooler. Could not have been chiller. More like super happy to.
Were they wearing sunglasses?
I don't think so. He was wearing. I know that like we started the conversation. To be honest, I didn't know. I became a Justice fan after seeing them at that moment.
Okay.
So like, I wasn't like super familiar with their stuff. I'd listened to it. I knew the genre. I knew the sound. And I had friends in Paris who were huge fans. But I became a fan like that night.
Okay.
So it was great because I wasn't like that like starstruck.
Yeah.
We were just kind of hanging, and we started the conversation. He had like a Raiders jacket, like a LA Raiders jacket on, and I was
Okay.
like, "Oh, are you like an NFL fan?" And he was like, I don't even know what this is." He was just like, he had like no. He was like,
Yeah.
"I just bought it because it looks cool." Like,
Right,
it was
right.
just-
That's awesome.
and I felt really awkward. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
That would have been such a surprise if he was a big NFL fan.
Yeah, that's what I like. You know, you don't typically see like people rocking
A French DJ.
like, yeah, rocking like LA Raiders merch because like
Right.
they're not even a football team. Yeah, I don't know anything about football.
Well, it was Oakland Raiders.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Probably when you met him, I would imagine. 'Cause
Yeah.
when was this?
This was a 2019, maybe 2018.
2019. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm not like such a history buff with that, but I feel like it was probably the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah,
at
maybe
the
it's
time.
Oakland. Sorry, NFL people.
Yeah, there's some people that are like, you fucking moron.
Yeah, you morons.
I don't know, dude. But that is just interesting to meet them in general, let alone right before, like, you were just playing on the
Yeah.
same stage.
Yeah, I totally didn't mean to put that in as like a flex. but
Dude, no, flex as much as you want, man. That's so sick.
it doesn't get better from there. That's like the best story I have. That's like I've used it all up.
You told it here. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for saying it on that note. I did want to ask you, since it has been so long since we've done an official podcast. Obviously, we've hung out a lot and collaborated on stuff. But in the few years since I've seen you last, which was pretty much right after you put out Shadow Dancer, Shadow Dancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, Shadow Boxer? No.
Nah.
I just wanted to know, how do you feel like you've changed over these years? Are there any, priority shifts when it comes to music, whether that be through, lyrics or production or even just choices you make when you're playing live? Like, what do you feel like you've changed the most in music in the last, 4 years, 3 years?
Oh. Yeah, I think honestly, like probably the past 3 or 4 years have been the biggest transition in my life ever. I think I'm like, have never been more of a different person than when the last time we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly just due to being a parent,
Right.
Like I was already a parent when we talked last time, but my son would have been just a newborn when we were talking, and now that's like just completely they're older now, and like I've grown into like the role of like a dadsition sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like gone through a lot of like just phases of learning how to deal with that. And like, when you're a musician in your 20s, you're really focused on yourself, and it's almost like it's just a part of the process of being a musician, and you suddenly have to shift to existing for someone else and something else. And that's been like just really healthy and something that's really shifted my focus. It's let me, I've been listening to, sorry, this is going to sound like a tangent, but I've been listening to, there's a guy named Ryan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a book called The Daily Stoic. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Oh yeah.
That guy. He has a quote that's like, nothing can give you like a nervous breakdown quicker than thinking your work is terribly important. And I'm paraphrasing. He says it a little bit better, you know?
Yeah.
And I think realizing just that there's so much more to life than how, you know, how your music is sounding, or how many shows you're playing, or, you know, numbers, etc. All the things that we worry about, just having that like kind of like relativized in that way has been really great. And I feel like I enjoy making music more. I feel like I enjoy living more. I feel like I have a better work-life balance. So I don't know if that's like not specific enough in regards to music,
No,
but
for sure.
I do feel like it's less.
It's taking some pressure off.
Yeah, I feel like it's like taken some. I feel like if I could describe it in one way, it's like I feel like I'm just more open-handed with what I do. I'm not like holding on to the reins so tightly, and that freedom lets me like try things and take risks, and I'm at a place where I'm just totally independent. I was with a label when we talked last time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And just a small indie label, French label. And now I'm just hanging out in Hapeville, and I do everything independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really like comfortable with that, and still, you know, ambitious to expand and grow, but in a way that I feel like is healthy. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think it is so easy to get caught up with the numbers and performance records and things like that. And it can really be debilitating because at the end of the day, the work that you've done, I think in terms of quality, is what you'll always remember more than the numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just funny that I kind of feel that right now as well, because that song Gumball that I put out was I put zero effort into the promotional strategy. I literally dropped it without warning on a Wednesday. I know people say to drop it on Friday. I didn't do any pre-saves. There was, you know, no warning or anything. And it way outperformed any song that I put, like, you know, plans in motion to, like, with a release show and all that stuff, like merch drops and photo shoots, and those didn't do nearly as well as this song, and I put no effort. And now I'm like, if that's not a sign to just do whatever you want and enjoy like the work you're doing, and don't put so much pressure on the outcome, like that's such a sign for that, at least for me.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think as well, I've just learned to let go. And sorry, I hate it. Like, you have like a train of thought, and I completely lost it. You can edit this part out.
That's okay. That's okay.
But no, I mean, I had a similar thing. Like, I had like a song that was like an acoustic tape demo that I recorded onto like cassette.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many other songs that I agonized about, like the kick and bass relationship, and like blah blah blah, like agonized about all these like stupid little details. And then like the one that I recorded literally on a 4-track cassette tape that, like, in terms of audio quality, literally was the worst. It was one of the biggest streams on my most recent EP, and then you're just like, what? Okay.
You just don't know, dude.
It makes no sense.
You really never know.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you about advice.
I got my train of thought. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you got it?
Do you mind if I?
No, please.
Sorry. Yeah, I think I've figured out too. Like, I sort of like figured out like why. I think I've figured out. You can never say for certain, but I think I figured out why I do this too. It's like, I'm working for, because you talked about like not remembering. You remember the work you did, and you remember the quality of it more than you remember the numbers. I think I'm working now for like physical records. That's like my goal, is to like even to just leave for my kids, and maybe they don't even care. Like they might not have a record player when they're like my age. But just for me, if I can say, hey, this is what your dad was doing when you were in school. Like this is what your dad was passionate about. This is like, just, some people make model airplanes. Like your dad like writes songs.
Yeah.
And like having like a couple of these that I can be like, this little stack was like my life's work and my life's passion. I have a friend whose father like writes these little poems and frames them and gifts them, and that's like what she'll remember him by, And again, I'm not saying that my kids have to care about what I did or that anyone has to care.
Yeah.
But for me, like I've sort of refocused, like, okay, like everything that we're doing, we're uploading it to these streaming services, and it lives in this like sort of digital space. And I think that can feel really helpless and meaningless when you spend so much time on it. And so I really like am kind of latching onto the idea of physical media, and I want to put as much as I can afford and as much as like makes sense on wax, and just kind of move on, and because no matter what I do, I'm gonna write songs. Like I think this is just kind of like what I do, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so might as well document it and then move on, and rather than agonizing like, oh, is this record the one that's gonna make XYZ happen? Is this the record that's gonna put me all over the radio? Like I don't think about it in terms of what it can do for me. I just think about it as like, this is like it's almost like this is a habit that I've formed to make music. And so the way that I structure it is by recording it and documenting it and putting it in physical media. And so like that's like now like the record shelf, I feel like, is what I'm working for now, more than any other number of like unobtainable growth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's huge. I couldn't agree more.
Oh, nice.
When you really understand in your bones that making music is just something you love to do.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily about the numbers. Like I used to tell myself that all the time, and it really didn't feel like until very recently, like within the last 6 months, that like I felt it in my bones, where I'm like, you know what? This isn't ever going to go away. Like making music, I'll just never stop.
Yeah.
It might change in different ways. I might take more time between releases. I might start pumping out more songs quicker. Who knows? But I know that won't change. And there's no like amount of streams or lack of streams that is going to deter me from making music. Like I'm just going to keep doing it. And once you like accept that, it really just takes the pressure off. Like quote that by that guy you were saying.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to obsess over the importance of it. It's just something you love to do, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's like getting obsessed with the process instead of the outcome, because you're ultimately not really in control of the outcome.
Exactly.
You can make all the plans in the world, but it's really out of your control. And it doesn't mean you have to not try and not give yourself a fighting chance. It doesn't mean that. It's just more in terms of like your own relationship. It is important, I think, to fix that relationship, to make sure that relationship is healthy. And if you're putting undue pressure on it, I think it ultimately does spill back into the work and make it less honest, less authentic. And
yeah, people can feel it.
It's just a silly little thing we do.
It is. It really is.
A silly little thing.
Well, let's take this over to the silly little last 5 that we'd like to end this podcast on, where you're just going to pick out 5 questions from this little bowl here. I know when I had you on last time, I probably just asked you 5 different questions. But now that it's in person.
I don't even remember this. This is crazy.
Yeah. Now you can just kind of zhuzh all these little papers around. I'm also going to move this flame.
So it does,
that would be good for the YouTube numbers.
Yeah. Okay, so what do I move them around. I don't need to read them.
Just pick
first.
one out at a time and read it out, and we'll answer the questions.
Okay, I've
Or
used
you'll
them
answer the
around. I think I have one. I don't have 2, do I? Okay. Dream artist, producer to work with. I've thought about this answer, and I had a good one, and it's not coming to me. I mean, like the big 2 that come to mind would be probably Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And then, well, you have to name one.
That's okay. You can name a couple of them. Not strict about it.
I was gonna say Kevin Parker, but I know he's loner. Like it's the whole thing. It's like he's like kind of just by himself. So like, yeah, I think actually maybe like some of the guys from Justice would be interesting because the way that they approach music is the discipline is so different than like they're not like I think they're really good musicians, but I actually don't know like for sure like how far it goes. That their music is so interesting like because it's like this blend of classical and like electronic, and I don't really understand funk and I don't understand where the lines begin and end. And it's kind of like if you ever see someone do something, you're like, I have no idea where they begin. Like I want to know like where do you start?
Right.
When you make like a collage album like Cross, like their first album, that's just like every 2 seconds it's another sample. Mm-hmm. But it's this like disco funk that ends up sounding like Bach. Like I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, where's the genesis of this?
Yeah, I think like honestly those guys would be probably the most interesting because I just don't know how it starts and I feel like I would learn so much.
Totally. That's a great answer. Let's see what number 2 has to offer.
Unexpected musical influence. I feel like I should have had like some stuff in the chamber.
No, dude, these are like really on the spot questions.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm like just a really cheesy person, like really just like in general, like, and when I was a kid, like I didn't have like cable and stuff, so I would go to my grandma's house and watch cable, and I like loved TV Land personally.
Okay. Do
you remember what TV Land was?
Yeah, wasn't that old shows?
It's like all the old shows,
like
it's
Love
like
Boat and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I Dream of Jeannie and like Bewitched and all that kind of stuff. I was a dork, dude. Like I was just like that's like the kind of stuff I liked.
Dude, it's okay. I watched the GSN, the game show network, when I was a kid.
Look, and I feel like don't you feel like some of that stuff, the audio quality, the degradation of the audio quality, or like even like science documentaries from like when you were in school, like Nova. Do you remember Nova? Did you watch those docs? It's like the teacher rolls like the TV out on like the projector, and they play like the VHS, and it's like a synthesizer chord, but like the VHS tape is like kind of pitch modulating the audio.
Right.
It's like, and I'm like, everything I want to do, I just want to like saturate it and bend it and warble it up. And I think it's like old TV, like just like 80s nature documentaries replayed on shitty VHS and like public high school in North Carolina, and then like the Munsters and like I Dream of Jeannie and shit like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So wow, that's very unexpected. Just like TV Land,
dude.
The VHS TV Land reruns.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I got to do 5 of these.
5 of them. Yep.
Oh my God.
So number 3.
Song you wish you wrote. Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney.
Wow. Now you did have that one locked.
Yeah, no, because I already know. Like it's just like wow. Like it's just, it's so good.
That song feels like it's existed forever.
I know. Yeah, it's just crazy to think. I think he's playing everything on that too. Mm-hmm. And it's just like perfect. Like I love the way like the chords, like it kind of like the way it like modulates keys, but then it like comes back, and it's just perfect. It's a perfect song.
I'm a big Ram fan.
Yeah, dude.
That album is incredible. You could have picked that one.
You have Ram? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't see it because I think this was the right move.
Absolutely. Yeah, showing your French roots.
That might have deterred me. You know, I saw him in December.
This December?
Paul McCartney, yeah.
Whoa, where?
In Paris.
No way.
Yeah.
I saw him like 6 years ago. He was incredible.
I hope we sound that good. We probably won't. Let's be real.
I mean,
we probably
who will?
Won't sound that? Who will sound
Not
that
many
good?
people
He
will.
looks so good. And he looks so good in like a, sorry, I don't mean to speculate. Like, you know, like some older people look good and you're like, they've had some help.
For sure.
And I'm like, no, he doesn't even look like he's had help. Either if he has had help, he's hired with like,
oh man,
the best people where you don't notice.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he's got more money than God. I think he could I think he could probably figure out the right people.
But it doesn't look like it. It feels like
No.
it's just him.
Yeah, it does look so natural.
Yeah.
It just looks like he hasn't aged. The SAG Awards were the other day, and I saw Jane Fonda, and I'm like, she's 89.
Yeah.
She looks so good.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out Jane Fonda.
Shout out Jane Fonda, big person in Atlanta.
Yeah.
3 Desert Island albums. Oh man, this is so dumb. But Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas
Yeah.
is just like, you're gonna need it. Christmas is gonna. You're on that
Need
desert
some
island.
Christmas lights for the palm tree.
Yeah, like, you know, like I don't know. Like if I'm on this island for a year, Christmas is gonna come around at least once.
That's true. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's a hilarious first one to think of.
Yeah, that's just like, just get that one out of the way.
Right.
I feel like I'm gonna need like variation, you know. So like I'm gonna want some classical music. So I'll probably get, oh my god, this is like 2 Christmas picks. But like probably a recording of like the Nutcracker, like Tchaikovsky.
Dude, what the hell is going on? This is crazy.
I don't even like, I'm a Halloween guy. I don't even like Christmas that much. But
Okay,
like,
all right.
but like, yeah, just so I have like, I can remember like, all right, this was jazz, jazz, and then this was classical, you know, romantic classical.
Yeah.
And then
Michael Bublé's Christmas
no,
album.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I did not say that. That was you. And then probably a Beatles record. God, I feel like I'm so it's like so like nostalgic.
Yeah. Well, the
probably
question is which one?
Abbey Road, just because like Abbey Road it's the best Beatles album. Like for me, it's uncontestably the best Beatles album. Like it's kind of ridiculous to argue otherwise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you want? What do you want? And then there's like so many like little mini songs, you know.
Absolutely.
And there's so much going on in that record. Like you can still just kind of listen to it. Okay.
It is, yeah. I mean, I think it's probably their best. I could understand it not being someone's favorite.
Yeah. That's a different
But
thing.
it is kind of like, yeah, top to bottom, kind of has to be the best.
Yes.
Just the production. It is insane, the production that they got for that time period. And
It sounds so good.
not to mention, I mean, the whole like second half of the album, song to song to song, like bleeding into each other is crazy. And ending with the end, you know, is insane. But A Day in the Life is I think the best ending to any of their albums.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
song always gives me chills.
And then I need some soul and some funk. So like probably something from Stevie.
You're gonna have to sub one out, brother. That's 4.
Oh, you said 3? I thought it was 5. Oh, geez. I should not have picked the Nutcracker.
You're like, having some regrets now.
Oh, yeah. I'm having total regrets. Well, okay. I got to live with it. I did what I did. I'm sorry. I should have done like, there's so much more I should have done.
Yeah, so Nutcracker.
It's like the
and
worst
Vince
trolley
Guaraldi trio.
problem of all time.
No, I respect the decisions, but on the next one, you can throw some Stevie in there. Songs in the Key of Life, maybe.
Don't come for me.
All right, let's check the last question here.
Yeah. Musical hot take. I think the internet is so full of hot takes. I don't know if we need any more.
That's a hot take, in a
Maybe
way.
that's my hot take. Is just like hot takes
Everybody
are.
calm down.
Yeah, hot takes are just like everything on the internet's designed to like make you mad, turn you on, or confuse you. And if you're lucky, all 3 are in the same piece of content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like the hack to your brain your brain energy. So maybe that's like I don't want to contribute to the hot take. That's my hot take.
I like that.
There's too many hot takes.
Opting out of the question.
Like you know that guy like is like Subway takes, the guy.
Yes.
I can't stand that guy.
Really?
I can't say. It's just that he's always like 100% agree, and like whatever
I
anyone
don't believe him
says
necessarily.
And I'm like, this is so dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I do love I love the boots on the ground reporting what people's hot takes are. Like I like that concept.
It
But
just incites people to say like that people like out their limitations. Like they're like, you know, like where their limit. I don't know. Maybe. Like, look, this is a hot take.
Maybe we need limits.
Maybe we need
limits.
limits,
Maybe
yeah.
in this world of the internet and it's, you know, unlimited access to everything. Maybe we need some limits to things. There's my hot take. All right.
There's your hot take. Okay, spicy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that was all 5 questions. Desmond Myers, thank you for coming on the podcast, brother. It's a blessing to have you on again. I want everybody to go listen to Intuition. The How to Break a Heart EP.
Thanks, man.
Both are incredible bangers. Shadow Dancer as well. I mean, all of your music is awesome. I've told
Thanks,
you I'm
man.
a huge fan. Do you have any shows coming up you want to plug or anything going on?
I can go ahead and say May 30th is my next. It's kind of a little bit of a while.
Yeah.
But my next single coming out, One Call Away. I've played it on shows for a while now.
Yes,
It's,
love that song.
thanks, man. It's finally coming out. And I'm excited. It's kind of wrapping up the whole intuition, how to break a heart era of my music that this past couple of years have been. And so celebrating that with a 45-inch vinyl release. So like the first time I'm releasing a single on digital and on vinyl same day.
Oh, cool.
So it'll you'll be able to like order it from Soul Step Records, a record label in Nashville. And you got to wait a little bit. You know, I know we're still in February, almost March, but yeah, May 30th, that last single of this whole kind of last era, I guess, of my project is wrapping up, and celebrating that with a vinyl release of Intuition on one side, One Call Away on the other side.
Dude, so sick. Well, I can't wait to get mine, and then I can have somebody pick that for their record.
Just like 2 songs.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
little 45.
Like, this is the best record out there, best AB. But Desmond, yeah, thanks again for coming on, man.
Man, thank you so
It was a
much for having
blast.
me. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
On that note, with Parker Whirling.